somebody was talking about Trevon Diggs and said, yeah, but if you took away the interceptions, he's one of the worst in the league.
No, he's not.
Yeah, okay. And we got the stats. Is actually Corey sent this over to me. The completion percentage against him is 52.5, which is 258th in the league. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it feels.
And look, the way PFF, and that's all people are going off of. You're only going off PFF. Yeah. I think one of the most disrespectful things I heard this year was they were talking about all the interceptions he has, but all the yards he allows, and they said he is the cornerback version of Jameis Winston's 30 touchdown, 30 interception season. It's like, that is offensive to how good that guy is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think let's look at what Pro Football Reference has here.
Because Pro Football Focus, I know the last one, did they have him like 80th or 90th out of 100?
Yeah, he was 90 out of
Well, but Mike brought up a great point. It was a couple of games ago when they graded out Leighton Vander Esch as having the best game, and it was like, okay, like, not to dismiss that he had a good game, but when you had people making like these huge game-shifting impact turnover plays, I don't think you can be like, that was the guy.
Well, and they don't always know who's responsible in coverage. You know, did they credit Diggs with the touchdown allowed against New England? Was that Diggs, or did they give that to KZ?
Yeah.
And regardless of what they did, what did the team think? Who did the team put that on? I know the team said, I think that was just, they were right there and they dropped it in the perfect spot. The coverage was fine. I don't think that was the case. And both guys, Diggs said, my bad. KZ said, my bad. So we never really know who's at fault.
Right.
I sense it was KZ probably. But did PFF say that? And regardless of what PFF said, they have no clue of knowing whose responsibility it was. And yet they gave it to somebody. And so they ding him for things like that at times where I don't know that it's totally fair. I'll just look this up. His passer rating against this year is 55.6. It was 85.8 last year. He's down a full 30 points on passer rating. Yep.
30 points. That's remarkable, and yet that's another reason.
You know where he can improve? He is a bad run defender.
Yeah.
He is that.
Is it? Okay, let me ask you a question about that, because
he makes some business decisions.
Okay, and then that was going to kind of be my question, and I've seen some people insinuate that, like, that's part of the problem with the Pro Football Focus grade as well, and I was like, that's fine. I'll trade him being a ball-hawking cornerback for sometimes. Is it because he doesn't have good run instincts, or is it because he doesn't put the effort necessary at times to make those tackles in the run game?
I think it's I don't think he's afraid of contact or anything like that. I mean, I think he's all, I think he's a salty player. And so I think he's fine getting into it and mixing it up. I think the instincts aren't always great. And I do think sometimes there's a little bit of, that guy could make that play.
Yeah.
But like a little bit of deference.
Yeah.
Whether consciously or unconsciously, there's a little bit of deference to the other guys on the assignment. But, I mean, goodness, I was just, I looked it up here because I know a lot of people remember, he had 3 interceptions last year. I went back and charted it. He dropped like 3 others as a rookie. 3 or 4 others. And so I mean, he could have had 7.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, he had injured reserve for 4 games, where he was out with that broken foot, and he didn't get his first pick till the middle of the year. And so when you look at it, 11 interceptions this year, 3 interceptions in the final 5 games last year. So he has 14 picks in 20 games.
And he said, he just said the other day, the idea of having 11 picks, like we've talked about it, first player, not just for the Cowboys, but in the NFL to have 11 interceptions in 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, it feels normal to me. Which I get it, but at the same point, you could easily see Trevon Diggs going, yeah, this has clearly been an amazing season, which it has, but he was just like, no, yeah, it feels normal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because he probably did, he had some flat drops of picks last year.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure he probably felt like he should have been doing this last year to begin with. And obviously things are different at Bama. You're blowing people out sometimes. You're not even playing in the fourth quarter, so the interception numbers aren't that high. But, I mean, gosh, I wish I could remember. I'm going to have to look for this tweet during the break. I'll bring it back up if I can later. Somebody recently, Antoine Woods or someone had said he had a 10 picks in one practice last year. And that he was like, that's when I knew he was. I got to find the exact tweet and what the number was. But somebody had said that's when they were like, oh my gosh, this guy's different.
So, and I saw somebody send this in from the 903. He's too busy trying to strip the ball away. Now, that is a trait many a Cowboys defender has. I just saw, obviously, and you heard McCarthy reference it in the presser, is the Broncos picked up Justin Hamilton off of the Cowboys practice squad. I was so mad.
Season's over.
At Justin Hamilton for one particular play where I felt like, and this might not have been true, in the moment, it was one of those things where it felt like the guy who had the ball gained an extra 12 yards because Justin Hamilton did not tackle him and just kept trying to strip the ball away from him. And somebody asked for the EPA on Trevon Diggs. I don't have the updated one. I know a couple of weeks ago, it was a minus 29 when targeting Diggs, which was by far the best EPA in the league. And it was like the second guy was like at a minus 16.
Right.
And so it wasn't even freaking close. So I get it. If you want to just look at yards, like we can look at the totality of the stats. If you don't think that Trevon Diggs is the defensive player of the year because he gives up too many yards or he's given up too many touchdowns, like, rock on. I'll listen to that argument. But I would also argue one of the reasons he is so elite is not just because of the interceptions, but because of the passer rating against him. Because of the negative EPA against him, which in this case is a good thing. Like, there are lots of other stats that show he's having just an insane year.
He's had, even though the interceptions had kind of dissipated for a little bit. He had, let's see here, what was it? 1 over the course of 5 weeks, 2 over the course of 7. And so it had cooled down a little bit, and he's had 2 the last couple games. But even when the interceptions were starting to trickle off a little bit, he was playing really well as just a cover guy. Yes. He wasn't getting targeted much. He wasn't allowing a bunch of big plays. And so I think that you're seeing the transformation you're seeing fewer and fewer chunk plays from him. It still happens occasionally because he is a gambler. That's what you get. If you don't want him to take the risks that he does to get 11 interceptions, fine. You don't give up the chunk plays, and you have 2 interceptions from him this year. That's what you get.
Which
would you rather have? Would you rather have the ball back 9 times, or would you rather a game he gives up a 20-yard reception?
You know damn well what the Cowboys would pick because they had a cornerback that was not too dissimilar from that. They sent him down the road.
Send him packing.
Yeah, exactly. So,
to Miami.
Exactly.
Poor guy had to go live in Miami.
Hey, they're turning it around.